Baldur's death by mistletoe. Baldur, son of Odin and Frigg, was the most beloved of all gods, shining with light, goodness, and wisdom. One night, he had a terrifying dream. He would die. Deeply worried, he told his mother, Frigg, who loved him dearly. Frigg traveled across the 9 realms, seeking promises from every living and non-living thing: fire, water, metal, animals, plants, and stones, to never harm Baldur. She succeeded, and everything swore to protect him. Except one tiny plant, the mistletoe, which seemed too small and harmless to worry about. Feeling safe, the gods began a playful game in Asgard. They would throw weapons and other objects at Baldur, which bounced off harmlessly, making all gods laugh at his invulnerability. Even Baldur himself laughed, radiant and untouchable. But Loki, ever jealous and cunning, saw an opportunity. Disguised as an old woman, he approached Frigg and asked if everything had truly promised not to harm Baldur. Frigg admitted that the mistletoe had not sworn an oath, thinking it too weak to cause harm. Loki took a small spear made of mistletoe and found Hr, Baldur's blind brother, watching from the sidelines. Loki guided Hr's hand and told him where to throw. Unaware, Hr cast the mistletoe spear, striking Baldur directly. Baldur fell, lifeless, and the joyous laughter of the gods turned to horror. Odin's grief was immense. His son Vali was born and grew to adulthood in a single day, fulfilling his destiny, to avenge Baldur by slaying Hr. Only later did the gods discover Loki's deception, realizing the death of their brightest and purest god had been caused by the trickster's cunning. Baldur's funeral and Loki's punishment. Hermod's journey to Hel. After Baldur's tragic death, Odin and Frigg were heartbroken. They resolved to try one last hope, sending Hermod, the brave messenger god, to Hel's realm, the underworld ruled by Baldur's half-sister Hel, to plead for Baldur's return. Hermod rode Odin's 8-legged horse, Sleipnir, speeding through the dark and twisted realms, crossing rivers and mountains, finally reaching the chilling halls of Hel. The underworld was a cold, shadowed place where souls of those who died from sickness, old age, or dishonor dwelled. The condition of Baldur's return. Hermod pleaded with Hel to release Baldur. The ruler of the dead agreed, but only on one condition: every being in the 9 realms must weep for Baldur's death. Hermod returned, and the gods, giants, humans, and creatures all mourned. Tears flowed from mountains, rivers, and forests. Even the trees bent, and animals wailed. All seemed willing to bring Baldur back, except one giantess named Thok. She refused to shed a tear, coldly declaring that she would not mourn. Later, the gods realized that Thok was actually Loki in disguise. With Baldur's fate sealed, the gods knew he could not return from Hel. The trickster's cruelty and cunning had claimed the light of Asgard permanently. Baldur's funeral. After Baldur's death, Odin and the gods prepared for the most magnificent funeral in the history of Asgard. Baldur's body was placed upon Hringhorni, the largest ship ever built, crafted from enchanted wood, capable of carrying a god to the flames of eternity. Odin took Draupnir, his magical gold ring, and placed it gently on Baldur's hand, whispering blessings and farewells, invoking protection and honor for his fallen son. Draupnir was special. Every 9th night, it would produce 8 new golden rings, a symbol of abundance and legacy even in death. Baldur's wife, Nanna, overcome with grief at the loss of her beloved, died from sorrow. She was laid beside him on the ship, her face serene yet mournful. The gods and goddesses, dwarves, giants, and other beings gathered around, their hearts heavy with sadness. The ship was too massive to push into the flames by mere strength. The gods called upon Hyrrokin, a formidable giantess known for her immense strength and fearsome presence. She rode a chariot pulled by wolves, their reins entwined with snakes, and approached the pyre. Her arrival alone caused the earth to tremble. With a tremendous effort, Hyrrokin pushed Hringhorni into the flames, sending a blaze so fierce that the surrounding grounds shook. Even mighty Odin and Thor, who usually struck fear into enemies, stepped back in awe. Thor, in a moment of anger, accidentally kicked a dwarf who had wandered too close, but the dwarf was unharmed. The flames roared skyward, and Thor blessed the pyre with Mjolnir, ensuring the funeral was sacred and honorable. This pyre marked the end of light and joy in Asgard, symbolizing the grief of gods and mortals alike and setting the stage for the darkness and chaos that would eventually lead to Ragnarok. All beings who attended, from gods to giants, dwarves, and magical creatures, stood in solemn respect, witnessing the passage of the beloved Baldur into Hel's realm, carrying with him the hope that his light would shine again in the renewed world after the coming destruction. Loki's punishment. After Baldur's tragic death, the gods captured Loki and bound him in a dark, jagged cave as punishment for his deceit and trickery. To ensure he could not escape, the gods devised a cruel and magical punishment. They took Narfi, one of Loki's sons, and transformed Vali, his other son, into a fierce wolf. In his new form, Vali attacked Narfi, tearing him apart. Narfi's entrails were then used to bind Loki tightly to the rocks, leaving him helpless. Above Loki's head, the gods placed a venomous serpent, dripping poison directly onto his face. His faithful wife, Sigyn, stayed beside him, holding a bowl to catch the venom. But whenever she had to empty it, the poison would fall, causing Loki unbearable pain. The earth trembled with his agony, and the Norse people said, "The earth shakes because Loki writhes in his bonds." This punishment, meant to teach Loki a lesson, only made him more bitter, cunning, and vengeful against the gods. His hatred festered, knowing that even his own sons had been turned against each other and that his freedom was stolen. He plotted silently, destined to break free during Ragnarok and lead the giants and the forces of chaos against the gods. Ragnarok, the final battle. The world shuddered as the fated time of Ragnarok, the ultimate battle of gods and giants, arrived, a cycle of destruction and renewal foretold since the beginning of time. Loki, freed from his chains, led the army of giants, monsters, and the dead from Hel's realm. Fenrir, his enormous wolf son, broke free, and the Midgard serpent, Jörmungandr, rose from the seas, thrashing violently and causing massive floods that swept across Midgard. The skies darkened as Skoll and Hati devoured the sun and moon, plunging the world into shadow. Mountains shook, rivers overflowed, and storms tore across the 9 realms. Humans cowered in fear, and only Lif and Lifthrasir, hiding in Hodmimis Holt, survived to repopulate the world. Baldur and Hoer were not part of Hel's army. They remained in Hel's realm during the chaos, untouched by the war. The armies clashed on Vgrr, a vast battlefield stretching 100 leagues across. Gods, giants, fire and frost creatures, and monsters collided in a battle foretold by fate. Odin, wielding Gungnir, his spear that never misses, faced Fenrir. Despite his unmatched skill, fate could not be escaped. Fenrir devoured Odin. Odin's son Vidar, born of a giantess, avenged him by stepping on Fenrir's lower jaw and tearing the beast apart. Thor confronted Jörmungandr in a titanic struggle. Hammer met serpent as thunder shook the heavens. Thor killed the serpent, but after taking 9 steps, he succumbed to the creature's deadly venom. His sons, Magni and Mi, survived, inheriting Mjolnir. Tyr, god of war and justice, fought Garm, the hound of Hel, both falling to their mutual wounds. Heimdall, the watchman of Asgard, and Loki clashed in an epic duel, each striking the other down. Freyr, lacking his sword, faced Surtr, the fire giant king. Freyr fell, and Surtr unleashed flames that consumed the world. Once his task of destruction was complete, Surtr too fell, ending the fires. Midgard was devastated. Seas flooded, skies blackened, and the land burned. Darkness covered the earth. Life nearly vanished. Yet, Lif and Lifthrasir survived, preserving humanity for the new age. Baldur and Hoer returned from Hel after the chaos, ready to lead the renewed world. Survivors among the gods and heroes included Vidar, Vali, Magni, and Mi, ensuring the legacy of the Aesir continued. In the end, neither side truly won. The giants and monsters succeeded in destroying the old world, while the gods fought bravely but fell to the inevitable fate. Ragnarok was not about victory. It was a cosmic cycle of destruction and rebirth. The world would rise again, purified, with new leaders and renewed life, as the Norse believed that fate is inescapable, yet renewal always follows catastrophe.